This is Talk About Topeka on Gab Local TV and TV25. This episode brought to you by Field of Greens and The Break Room. And here's your host, Chris Schultz.
All right, so we're here in the studio with Davis Hammet from Loud Light. How are you, Davis?
Doing great, thank you.
Hey, thanks for being here. Really do appreciate it. You were on the show a little bit ago telling us about voter registration, and there were some obstacles that have been put in the way here for people who may not know them. And you can find out about those obstacles. Check your voter registration status at loudlight.org/vote, and they'll tell you everything you need to do to make sure that you are down there so that when you show up at the polls, you'll get some action. And so really appreciate you telling us all about that. But I also wanted to go back a little bit and rewind. Before that, you are not from Topeka, born and raised here, right? You came here from a sunnier place, right?
Yeah, I'm from Florida.
Okay, but you came here for a really cool thing here that popped up. It was the Equality House, for anybody who hasn't seen that. Well, I don't know which box you've been living under, because things all over the world, really. Everybody knows it. You've got a lot of support from the world on this thing, right? This is big.
Yeah, I mean, it was global, and the support, we never imagined it would be so big. We thought it would be a little thing for, maybe a couple days, a couple weeks, but it's still ongoing, and it's still international.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing. Of course, you're working with Aaron Jackson, who, when I heard about Aaron Jackson coming in, I was like, who's this guy? And I looked him up, I'm like, he's a CNN hero. Like, this is really cool. We're doing some really cool things. There's progressive stuff happening here in Topeka. And you guys have seen a lot of stuff happen in the short period of time that you've been here. A lot of things have happened, like, marriage equality. That's one thing that we've seen. So it really does help, right? So to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's been incredible. We were actually operating out of New York City in 2012 whenever the opportunity to move across from Westboro Baptist Church came into our view, and we started discussing this opportunity to create the Equality House. And when we came here, to be quite honest with you, I just knew Kansas was in the middle of America. I wasn't very familiar, and I knew all these cliche jokes that now now after being here several years ago, I'm a little as irritated at the Wizard of Oz jokes as everyone else. But that I didn't know really much about the place. I came here, lived here for several months, getting to know the community before we launched it. We were a little scared, being from out of town and coming here and doing something quite loud. Mm-hmm. And then we launched it, and it went so well, and the community was more supportive than we ever could have imagined, and we just found ourselves more and more involved in everything. And soon Aaron went back to New York to do some other business, and I was just telling him, I'd be like, oh, I think I need to be here another week. Okay, I need to be here another month. I think I need to be here another year. And then I was like, I think I'm just in here indefinitely. And then through all the work, being involved in everything from statewide bully prevention curriculum to all kinds of activism and working with young people to get them motivated about making change, I kind of fell in love with Kansas in a lot of ways, and especially learning the history of Kansas, which is just incredible and really revolutionary. I mean, has led the nation in so many ways. So I built a bond with Kansas, and that's why when I went to create Loud Light, I decided I wanted to stay here and make the change here, because this state has a history of leading the nation, and I think it should really reclaim that history of being a beacon of hope in our nation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Of course, I'm from here saying that, so it's good to hear somebody from Florida saying that. That's really cool as well. But we're absolutely glad to have you, that you've made Topeka home here with us, and you've done some really cool things with that. Now a lot of the stuff that you've done is you've talked to people around. You mentioned talking to some of the youth about getting involved with their government and getting involved in the process of this. Are you shocked that people are not involved? I mean, I'm going to lay it out there. It's a loaded question. I know you are.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing what you're doing. But kind of maybe explain some of the things that just pushed you to the point to realize that, whoa, we need some help with the youth here.
Well, I mean, yes and no, right? So I'm very blessed. I was raised in a family that valued civics. I'm blessed to have two parents who would teach me on election day why they were doing it when I was young. And many people don't have that. Many people are raised in impoverished situations where maybe they have one parent, and maybe that parent's working so many jobs and doesn't have the time to spend with them and instill these civic values. Mm-hmm. And often people in those situations, it's the least of their concerns. They're struggling to put food on the table in voting feels very heady to a lot of us. People don't see the change.
Yeah.
And that's why I think what I really focus on is trying to bring it back down to the local level. Remind people that, so we're in Topeka right now, and Topeka doesn't have the greatest streets for anyone who's been here, and I know they're working on it, but those kind of things, they affect people, and they don't realize that you can speak out, you can start to make the change, you can organize with your neighbors, and you can show up to city council and be like, no, we want streetlights now in our neighborhood. We want these things now, and that's how you actually get the change, is at a local level. At the presidential level, any political scientist will tell you you essentially have no impact. But on a local level, you can have all the impact. You can knock a couple doors and change the outcome of an election. I mean, we only had nearly half of the state representatives in Kansas run unopposed. And all the time we see state representatives and city council members winning by less than 50 votes. And you could be that deciding vote, and you and your neighbors and your community could. So really making people realize that power, because I think there's a power that really ignites a lot of things in our life that we can channel in civics, but then it sprinkles out from there.
It's absolutely. Well, it's very important that everyone check their voting status. That's the really big point we're trying to make here. And Loud Light is doing that. They have a big cause to go out and check your voting registration status. So check it, loudlight.org/vote. Thank you so much, Davis, for coming on, telling us all about this, and for all your work trying to get those people who just may not see how they can affect the world to feel like they have a little part of it,
Yeah, thank you. And I hope that all of your viewers become visible vocal forces for good in their community.
Do it, people. It's as easy as that. Check it out, loudlight.org/vote. If you are registered, great. If you're not registered, they'll tell you exactly how to make sure that when you show up at the polls, you get the results you're looking for.